pounds. Yes, I didn't say. What are you looking so sad about, Jack?
I'm surprised at you. I mean, I'm really insulted. That's not right, what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting on, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talk about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, Clay, one time in my career, I was on a bum of my tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
Well, you'd be on the tour.
Oh.
What's happening, my people? It's Cass Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Story, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. Miss Cass, salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cass Sports, the Box Story. Today, boxing in the States, Utah. How's everyone today? It's Thursday, time for another Boxing in the States. It's Utah today as the series continues. We're winding down now, only got a few more states to go. Mike Mazik in the building. What's up, Mike? Boxing in the States series continues today with Utah. Found some history and some nice significant events that happened in Utah. A pretty interesting show today. It's Thursday, getting late in the week, but we still got a couple more days of boxing history to go. Don't forget, tomorrow the profile is the life and career of Erik Morales. Again, one of the four kings of the 2000s. Erik Ford had a big series with Manny Pacquiao, Marco Antonio Barrera, And Juan Manuel Marquez is included as one of those, but they fought 13 times between the four, but the only fight that didn't happen in that series was Morales and Marquez. Yep. Great series of fights. And they fought each other. Salute Mike Magic. Good to see you today. Highlights of boxing history today is going to be 10 of the greatest fighters from Argentina. 10 of the greatest fighters in Argentina's history. Okay? Like number one is for sure King Carlos Monzon. You know, had his problems outside the ring, but he was a great middleweight champion. Arguably the best middleweight of all time. He's in the argument for that, along with Hagler and the great Harry Greb. Yeah, King Carlos is right there. But he had a problem with putting his hands on women, and he actually killed one of his women, threw her off a second floor balcony. Then he fell off. I don't know if he was trying to pretend that they both fell off, but he was convicted of killing her. And then guess what? He was in prison, but he was out on a furlough and was killed in a car accident on his way back to prison from the furlough. So who gets a furlough from prison for murder? I guess they do things differently in Argentina. Yeah, he was furloughed for a weekend furlough. And on the way back to prison, he was killed in a car accident. King Carlos Monzon, arguably the greatest Argentine fighter ever. Luis Firpo, Sergio Martinez, another one. Oscar Bonavena, some great fighters from Argentina. We're going to talk about them in the highlights of boxing history today to start the show off. Okay, but how's everybody today? It's Thursday, a couple days away from the weekend. I think we got Gabriela Fundora defending her undisputed title this weekend. It's like 4 cards, one tomorrow. And Gabriela is the youngest undisputed champion, by the way. Let's get to the highlights of boxing history to start the show off. Start talking about these great Argentinian fighters. Got a good show Monday. Don't miss that one. Monday is going to be the first champion in every weight division. The first ever champion in every weight division, from heavyweight all the way down to minimum weight, 105. And you know, heavyweight was John L. Sullivan, first ever. He was the last bare knuckles champion and the first glove champion. So it'll be the glove era, because back then you really didn't have any weight classes, because, you know, everybody fought everybody. The weight didn't really matter, you know, before they formed the weight class. But then they had 8 original ones. But Monday, we're going to do all 17. The first champion in every weight class coming up Monday. Don't miss that one. That should be a good one. But I got 10 up for the highlights of boxing history. This segment today take us to 2:30. Get some more people time to get in the building. We're going to talk about the 10 of the greatest Argentinian fighters of all time. The Boxing Menu Podcast Plus in the building. As always, anybody not subscribed, get over there, subscribe to that brother. Good content being put out by him. The Boxing Menu Podcast Plus, salute. And Thomas Hill in the building. Yeah, we highlights of boxing history, 10 of the greatest Argentinian fighters of all time. Thomas Hill, salute in the building. Okay, let's get to the highlights of boxing history. The show today is the Boxing in the State series continues today with Utah. Okay. 10 of the best Argentinian fighters of all time. Okay. Now, when Sergio Martinez climbed into the ring at Madison Square Garden in 2007 to face Miguel Cotto, he got a loud and vivid demonstration of the pride and passion that Puerto Rican fans bring to the sport. Few things in sport have been more memorable than the sound of 20,000 voices singing the Puerto Rican national anthem in unison, right? But Martinez represented a great national boxing tradition as well. From Luis Firpo to Martinez, the Argentine countrymen have provided the sport of boxing some of its most exciting moments. Martinez definitely has his place among the greats from his nation, but it's an entire list full of legends, these Argentinians. Starting out with Luis Firpo, the wild bull from the Pampas. It's Luis Firpo standing up. That's Jack Dempsey going through the ropes. That fight had, I think, 11 total knockdowns, 10 in the first round. Now, Firpo went down 9 times and Dempsey went down twice, but Firpo had the best knockdown of the fight, though. He only got 2. He went down 8. One of his 2 was the best of the fight. That one right there, he sent Dempsey through the ropes, head first. Fortunately, Dempsey landed right there where the reporter's table was at, and they cushioned his fall. He could have hit that floor head first like that. It would have been some serious damage. But still shaken up. They got him into the ring just before the bell rang, and he went to his corner and sat down, and he asked his corner, who won the fight? His corner said, no, Jack, this is just the first round. The fight's still going on. But that's Luis Firpo in the ring. That's Jack Dempsey on the way out of it. Head first. Known as the Wild Bull of the Pampas, Luis Firpo is a boxing figure whose legend far surpasses his actual ring accomplishments. But his legend is so immense that it's enough to supplement his resume and earn him inclusion on this list. Firpo is the first name that well-informed boxing fans think of when they think of Argentina. And no article on the nation's boxing history could be complete without mentioning Firpo. A big and athletically powerful fighter, Firpo would have been a handful in any era. In the 1920s, he was a phenom. After debuting in North America, he won 12 straight fights, including victories over Bill Brennan and Jess Willard, to earn a shot at heavyweight champion Jack Dempsey. Now, the showdown between Firpo and Dempsey remains among the most celebrated fights in heavyweight history. It was perhaps the most violent 2 rounds in the history of the sport. Dempsey dropped the charging bull 7 times before finishing him off. But along the way, Firpo managed to knock Dempsey completely out of the ring. An indication of Firpo's lasting popularity throughout Latin America is the fact that a football team in El Salvador is named after him. Yep, got a football team named after him in El Salvador. Luis Firpo, the Wild Bull of the Pampas. 10 of the top fighters from Argentina. Justo Suarez. Now, Justo Suarez is a figure somewhat like his near contemporary, Luis Firpo. His mystique is bigger than his resume. But, like Firpo, the lightweight little bull of Mataderos was an important national hero for Argentine boxing fans. He grew up in a large and desperately poor family, and by age 9 was already working in a slaughterhouse to help support the family. He emerged from the streets as a popular brawler, but began to add technical finesse to his approach as his professional career blossomed. Suarez became the Argentine lightweight champion, and his fights packed stadiums and brought out European royalties and Argentine political leaders. At the time of his death by tuberculosis in 1938, he had begun to emerge as a popular attraction in the United States and was cementing his status as a world title contender. The only 2 losses of his career appear to come after the dreaded lung disease had already started to afflict him. Okay? Justo Suarez. Next on the list of these great Argentine fighters is Santos Laciar. Santos Laciar, another great Argentinian fighter. One of three flyweights on this list, Santos Laciar was an elite 112-pound world champion in the 1980s. In 1981, he captured the WBA version of the belt by knocking out Peter Matabula in 7 rounds. At the time, Carlos Monzon had recently retired, and Victor Galindez had died tragically. So Laciar's ascent made him an instant hero to Argentine boxing fans. He dropped the belt to Luis Ibarra in only his second defense, but would reclaim the belt in 1982 by stopping Juan Herrera with a round 13 TKO. Laciar would defeat Ibarra in a rematch and hold the WBA flyweight title for 3 years, defending it often before vacating it to move up to 115 pounds. In 1987, he became a 2-division world champion by beating Gilberto Roman for the WBC super flyweight belt. Okay, Santos Laciar. Wait a minute, I haven't went that far yet, have I? Oh, okay, yeah. I'm going from 10 downward. We say I'm having the number 7 already. 10 downward. Next, the great. This guy fought during the greatest heavyweight era ever. And if he fought in another, he never won a title, but if he'd have fought in another era, he would definitely have been a champion. Oscar Bonavena. He fought the Ali's, Frazier's, Norton's. He fought in that era with them guys. Never won a title, but I think he did win one. Back around the time when I think he had the NABF. He didn't have one of the WBA or WBC, but I think he was the one that Ali beat for his first title when he came back, which was the NABF, around 70, 71. Yeah, but not a major. But if he'd have been in any other era, he would have been a major world champion, Oscar Bonavena. Now, Luis Firpo is the more famous Argentine heavyweight, but Oscar Bonavena has the better resume, fighting in the division's golden era of the 1960s and 1970s. He was the top contender who gave some of the best fighters of all time extremely difficult work. Bonavena went the distance twice with Joe Frazier, knocking Smoking Joe down twice and losing by split decision in their first fight. Bonavena gave Muhammad Ali a battle before losing by round 15 TKO. Bonavena also went the distance with world champions Floyd Patterson and Jimmy Ellis, and against hard-punching contender Ron Lau. He fought all the greats. Among the fighters he beat were top contenders Dora Farley and George Chuvalo, as well as European champion Carl Mildenberg. Definitely had just from that era. You can't help but have a fire resume if you fought in the heavyweight division in the 70s. No way you can't have a fire resume. Next of the great Argentinian fighters is Horacio Accavallo. Horacio Accavallo. Horacio, wait a minute. That looks like Oscar Bonavena again. No, it isn't. Okay, Horacio Accavallo. Anyway, that's who we're talking about. Mike Grimm. I think I messed. I think that's Oscar Bonavena again. Right. Yeah, see, that's Oscar. And yes, that's Oscar. But Horacio Accavallo. Mike Grimm. What's up, Mike Grimm? Mike Grimm is in the building. Salute, Mike. Highlights of boxing history is 10 of the greatest Argentinian fighters of all time. Okay? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Should be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. don't know what I'm doing, to tell you the truth. It might be Acavallo right there on the left. Okay, let's continue. We'll get it together. But Horacio Acavallo, okay, standing just 5'1", Horacio Acavallo was a flyweight star in the 1960s who retired as the reigning WBA champion. In 1965, he was the #1 contender for the title. But Salvatore Berini vacated rather than face Acavallo, who had already knocked him down and defeated him by 10-round decision. To secure the vacant belt, Acavallo traveled to Tokyo and beat Kazuyoshi Takayama by split decision. Acavallo lost just twice in more than 80 fights. His first defeat came early in his career, and he did nothing. He did not lose again for nearly a decade until moving up to face undefeated bantamweight Kiyoshi Tanabe late in his career. Yeah, that was Acavallo, Horacio Acavallo. Okay. Next, Sergio Martinez. Now let me see. Yeah, I'm right. Yeah, that was Acavallo. Because there's Sergio. Yeah, I had Oscar Bonavena in here twice. That's Sergio in the red with Martinez on the front of his trunks. Yeah, I'm right. Yeah, I had made a mistake. I had Oscar twice. Sergio Martinez makes the list as the great Argentinian fighter. He was WBC linear middleweight champion. Sergio Martinez could have accomplished so much in his career, especially amazing when you consider that he did not even take up the sport until age 20. Prior to that, he had been an excellent soccer player and cyclist. Sergio's natural athleticism was a major weapon in his arsenal, as his tricky southpaw style and explosive power made him one of his generation's most dangerous fighters. His single-shot knockout of Paul Williams in 2010 is one of the most iconic knockouts of recent years. At age 39, he had had multiple surgeries, and he still looked like he was still a remarkable fighter, but he was reaching the end of his run by then, right? But he's one of the top. He's definitely one of the top middleweight fighters of this century, Sergio Martinez, no doubt. Sergio. Okay. Victor Galindez. Another great Argentinian fighter. A physically powerful and relentless fighter, Victor Galindez held the WBA light heavyweight title for most of the second half of the 1970s, which was one of the division's most competitive eras. He captured the belt in 1974 from Len Hutchins. Now, Galindez recorded victories over Eddie Mustafa Muhammad and 2 each over Richie Cates and Yaki Lopez. Yeah, those big names at light heavyweight, late 70s, early 80s. Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, Richie Cates, and Yaki Lopez. Yes. Then Galindez dropped the belt to Mike Rossman by round 13 TKO in a war, and then won it back by forcing Rossman to retire in his corner following round 9 in the rematch. Now, Galindez lost the title to Marvin Johnson in another classic fight in 1979. In 1980, he died racing stock cars at age 31. Well, he loved the dangerous sports. He left boxing to become to drive race cars. Victor Galindez. Next is the great, legendary Pascual Perez. How can you do a list of great Argentinian fighters and not have Pascual Perez on it? What's up, Al Booger? Highlights of boxing history today is 10 of the greatest Argentinian fighters of all time. And it's almost a crime to not have Pascual Perez on the list. You talk about Argentinian fighters? Ooh. Pascual Perez is a legend. Let's talk about it. Now get this. Now I was saying this about, remember Al Booker about Nick Ball? But Al Booker correctly said he's 5'4". But at just 4 feet 11 inches tall, Pascual Perez was the first world champion from Argentina. He really was 4 feet 11, right? Argentina's first world champion. He was an Olympic gold medalist in 1948 as well, and fought as an amateur for an extended period of time before turning pro. Perez won the flyweight world title in 1954 and held it for 6 years, defending it 9 times while fighting 20 more times in non-title fights. He was somewhat unusual for an Argentine fighter in that he traveled abroad to fight on a regular basis. Now, in the Ultimate Book of Boxing list, Teddy Atlas rates Perez as the 4th best flyweight of all time, and Bert Sugar places him 2nd. That's high praise. Teddy Atlas got him 4 of all time. Bert Sugar got him 2nd. And don't miss Monday, because Monday we're going to do the first world champion from every weight class, all 17 of them Monday. Coming up Monday, the first ever world champion in each weight division. Coming at you Monday. Start on another big week of boxing history. But let's finish this one off first. Here comes another legend from Argentina. I didn't even know he was from Argentina, as much as I know about him. Nicolino Loche from Argentina. Number two. Couldn't make him number 1. Y'all gonna see who number 1 is. Nicolino had to be number 2. Number 1 is not even arguable. Nicknamed the Untouchable. Oh my goodness, but we're back. Nicknamed the Untouchable. Now you had to be a great defensive fighter if your nickname was Untouchable, right? Nicknamed the Untouchable, Nicolino Loche had a style that ran counter to the come forward brawling that is most often associated with Argentine fighters. He ranks among the top defensive wizards in boxing history. Had to be nicknamed the Untouchable. But he was no runner. He most often stood directly in front of an opponent and used his otherworldly reflexes to evade punches with his hands hanging at his side. Loche once won all 15 rounds on all 3 judges' cards against Antonio Cervantes, a Hall of Famer. He shut Antonio Cervantes out. A Hall of Famer. Shut him out. 15 rounds, 15-0. The only fault Loche had as a fighter was his lack of knockout power. In 136 fights, get this, in 136 fights, he had just 14 stoppages. Wow. But regardless of that, he didn't need no knockout power, the great as a defensive fighter he was. But regardless of that, he was truly elite. In the Ultimate Book of Boxing list, Teddy Atlas ranks him as the 2nd best junior welterweight of all time, behind only Aaron Pryor. And Bert Sugar lists him as 3rd, behind Pryor and Julio Cesar Chavez. And now number 1, the greatest Argentinian fighter of all time, King Carlos Monzon. King Carlos, number 1. In the running for the greatest middleweight of all time, too. Right up there with Hagler and Harry Graham. You can make a great argument for King Carlos. I told y'all about him and Hagler. From 1970 to 1987, 17-year stretch, King Carlos Monzon, or Marvelous Marvin Hagler, was an undisputed middleweight champion for every one of those years except for 3. Of those 17 years, one of them were undisputed. They ran middleweight for 17 years, okay? King Carlos and Marvelous Marvin did. But King Carlos is definitely the greatest Argentinian fighter of all time. King Carlos Monzon held the undisputed world middleweight title for 7 years in the 1970s, defending it 14 times. A methodical ring general, he broke down opponents and brutalized them over rounds. While nothing about him seemed dazzling, his complete package made him among the great fighters of all time. King Carlos was a major celebrity in South America and led a violent and turbulent life outside the ring. He was arrested numerous times for physically assaulting paparazzi. They need to be physically assaulted. And he was sent to prison in 1988 for beating his girlfriend to death. In 1995, he died in a car accident while on a weekend furlough. Now, where the hell do you get a weekend furlough from prison for murder? They must do things very different in Argentina. You're going to send a convicted murderer out on a weekend furlough. He was on the way back when he had that car accident. The average convicted murderer get a weekend furlough. He ain't coming back. He ain't coming back. But King Carlos was on the way back and he died in a car accident. Probably should have stayed in there. But anyway, personal failings aside, Monzon is unquestionably the greatest fighter to ever come out of Argentina. He is in any educated debate about the greatest middleweight of all time also. In the Ultimate Book of Boxing list, Bert Sugar ranks him fourth behind only Mickey Walker, Stanley Ketchum, and Harry Greb. Damn, Bert Sugar, what happened to Hagler? Anyway, Teddy Atlas places him behind only Ketchum and Greb. Okay, but there you have it. 10 of the greatest Argentinian fighters of all time. Got what country he was doing momentarily. Okay, let's get ready to talk about Utah, week 32. Beautiful. The great state of Utah today, as the Boxing in the State series continues. Today, studio audience, give a hand to all the great people in the chat. Okay. Boxing in the States, Utah. We done covered every one of them. Only got a few left. I think we started, around this time last year, didn't we? But yeah, we're working our way on through it. Now we're up to Utah. Okay? Let's get to it. Lights, camera, action. Okay, you get over there. I'm going to need you in a minute. All right. Boxing in the States, Utah. Now, Utah's boxing history includes notable figures like Don Fulmer, who became a world middleweight contender, and Jack Dempsey, who, while not a Utah native, spent time in the state and had a significant fight televised to Salt Lake City. Now, the sport also had a connection to the Salt Lake Occidentals, a Negro League baseball team, suggesting a broader sporting culture in the region. Furthermore, boxing was once practiced on the bottom of Utah Lake when it was dry. You had a boxing match on the bottom of that lake. Showcasing a unique aspect of Utah's history. Now, Don Fulmer, as a Jordan High School graduate and a member of the Utah Sports Hall of Fame, Don Fulmer was a prominent figure in Utah's boxing community. He fought professionally for 16 years, compiling a record of 54 wins, 20 losses, and 5 draws. He was the little brother of the more famous Gene Fulmer, who had a win over Sugar Ray Robinson. Jack Dempsey. Although Dempsey wasn't from Utah, he spent time in the state, including returning to buy his mother several homes. He was a major boxing star, and his fight against Jess Willard in Toledo, Ohio, was televised in Salt Lake City, Utah, where a large crowd gathered to watch. Now, Gene Fulmer, big brother of Don, the more famous Fulmer, like I said, Gene Fulmer had a win over Sugar Ray Robinson. A Utah native, Foreman famously defeated Sugar Ray Robinson to win the National Boxing Association World Middleweight title. Now, Sugar Ray beat Gene Fullmer with what is called the perfect punch, right? Gene Fullmer said that when he woke up after he got knocked out, he saw Sugar Ray in the far corner. He thought they were just in between rounds, and Sugar Ray was just standing up waiting for the next round to begin. But he had been out for like 10 minutes. The fight was over. He said, I woke up, I saw Sugar Ray across the way in the corner. I thought he was just preparing to come out for the next round. But no, the fight was over, Gene. But Gene did have a win over Sugar Ray to win the National Boxing, took the NBA title away from Sugar Ray. Jack Johnson had a connection to Utah. A heavyweight champion. He was brought to Utah by a figure who helped build the Salt Lake City Occidentals, that Negro League baseball team. Peter Jackson Saloon, we're going to cover that a little bit later too. Peter Jackson Saloon. Now this saloon, located in Salt Lake City, Utah, was known for hosting illegal boxing matches during the red light district era, right? We're going to talk about Peter's Saloon some during the show. Now, historical context. Boxing in Utah has a history that dates back to the early 1900s, with evidence of prize fights and boxing matches being held in various venues. The sport was not always legal or widely accepted, as evidenced by accounts of illegal matches and public fights. Now, the early 20th century saw a rise in boxing popularity in Utah, with crowds attending matches featuring local and national champions. Boxing played a role in the development of sporting enterprises like the Salt Lake City Occidentals, again, that Negro League team. Okay? Now let's talk about the Occidentals, the baseball team I've been mentioning. They had a connection to boxing, okay? I think. No, let's get that going for y'all. How's everybody today? It's Thursday. We're almost up on the fights. Of course, we got some more fights this weekend. Gabriela Pandora defending her undefeated strap. She's the youngest undisputed champion ever. Definitely right now. Yeah. Gabriela, sister of the towering Inferno. Sebastian Pandora. They had a boxing match on the bottom of the ocean, bottom of Utah Lake, when it was dry. Okay, Utah historian discovers champion boxers helped build Occidental sporting enterprise. Now, for history lovers, finding new information is like finding gold, right? That goal for one Utah historian was discovering information that connected the world of boxing to the sporting enterprise of the Salt Lake Occidental. During the early 1900s, notable African Americans wanted to join Utah's all-black baseball team and help grow the sporting business venture. Joe Burns, a businessman, owned an elite bar in downtown Salt Lake City. He saw opportunities in helping to build the Salt Lake Occidental. He was involved in baseball prior to the assembly, and with the Occidental, he was a catcher. He was a manager, said Chris Hansen, a local baseball historian. Now, Hansen explained that Burns was also a boxing promoter and manager, and he knew the ropes. He used his business smarts and influence to attract more attention to the baseball team. He's the one who helped bring in Jack Johnson, the heavyweight championship fighter in 1908 and 1909, to Utah, Hansen said. Took him around the city, and Jack Johnson was umpiring the game because of Burns' involvement. As more people started hearing or reading about the Salt Lake Occidentals, more boxing athletes became interested in joining the team. There's a guy on the assembly team named Kid Bell that Joe Burns was managing, and Kid Bell lived in Colorado, but whenever he'd come to Utah, it was for fighting. Now, Joe Burns would have him play with the assembly team that weekend during his visit, Hansen said. Other champion boxers that came to help the cause included Jack Dempsey. The presence of the Salt Lake Occidentals helped to further the Black community in business ventures and improve their quality of life. Okay? Now, Peter Jackson Saloon. Let's talk about Peter Jackson Saloon. Let's drop this down a little bit. Yeah, Peter Jackson Saloon in the red light district era. Okay, that's better. Get back up to where I was at. Okay, there we go. Now, that's not Peter Jackson Saloon, but that's the only saloon I could find. Close enough. It's a saloon, right? We're going to talk about Peter Jackson's. Here we go. Peter Jackson Saloon. Donnie Williams in the building. What's up, Donnie? Talking about, I should have had that light out. Utah, Boxing in the State series continues today with Utah. I meant to count to see how many more we had, but it's not many. We are winding down, and we got to find something else. Maybe boxing around the world, but salute Donnie Williams. How are you today? Peter Jackson Saloon. Now, Peter Jackson Saloon was opened during the red light district era during the mid-1800s, home to brothels, prostitution, and illegal paid fights in bars and saloons. Peter Jackson Saloon was said to have a full-size boxing ring for many drunk patrons to fight or bet on drifting brawlers or up-and-coming boxers, like American heavyweight boxing legend William Jack Harrison Dempsey. Jack used to go around and fight for money. He was homeless. Yeah, let's continue. Now what? There we go. Now, in the 1870s, Regent Street was then named Commercial Street and home to Salt Lake City's red light district. Numerous brothels were opened and prostitution was rampant throughout the city, along with the mafia's influence on businesses. One of those businesses open was Peter Jackson Saloon, home to a large bar for patrons to enjoy as they watched illegal boxing fights. It was ran by the owner, Hardy Downey, who set the fights up and the bets, controlled the betting in there. Now, since 1908, with a cleaning act on the district, and with later cleanings and constructions through the 1930s and 1970s, most small establishments were lost from this cleanup and revitalization of the city. Due to this, all history known on Peter Jackson Saloon comes from heavyweight champion boxer William Jack Harrison Dempsey. Now, Dempsey came to Salt Lake City, Utah in 1911 when he turned 16 and began his underground prize fighting career to earn money in a traveling hobo lifestyle, hitching rides on rail cars. And once he started making a small but manageable purse, Dempsey stayed in the area boxing, sometimes leaving to other small mining towns popular during the 20th century. Now, during his fights, the owner, Hardy Downey would have a hat passed around, and the saloon patrons would place money, usually a few coins, into it as the winning pot for either fighter. Dempsey would win on average $1 or less per fight. Once he became recognized for his fighting talent, his new manager, Jack Kearns, set up bigger fights against actual fighters instead of drunk patrons. On one occasion, Dempsey defeated a boxer named One Punch Hancock in 15 seconds with one punch, while he beat One Punch with one punch. Yeah, a guy named One Punch Hancock. Dempsey knocked him out with one punch. This angered Hardy Downey, who made Dempsey fight Hancock's brother before he paid him. So he beat One Punch, and Downey got mad because Downey had money on One Punch, so he said, "You got to fight his brother or I ain't going to pay you." Dempsey should have punched him. So Downey made Dempsey fight Hancock's brother before he paid him. Dempsey defeated Hancock's brother in the same manner, in seconds. When asked in later years, Dempsey says he possibly fought around 100 fights during the years he stayed in Salt Lake City in Peter Jackson's saloon. Yet, due to the illegal business and unprofessionalism of the fights, they were never recorded. All history to that point of the saloon are unknown due to Dempsey leaving in 1919 to face Jess Willett for the heavyweight championship. There's no recovered information besides Jack Dempsey's history and retelling of his boxing journey through Salt Lake City. That's the only known history about that situation, is what Jack Dempsey said about it. Yeah, okay. So that was interesting. Peter Jackson Saloon. And now we got about this big throne fight. Again, Jack Dempsey was involved in it. Not from Utah, but he had a lot of history there. Yeah, he had a lot of history in Utah. I think they was originally from down south somewhere. Then they moved to Utah. Colorado. But he spent a lot of time in Utah. Here we go, right here. Heavyweight boxing's biggest fight thrown in Murray, Utah, 100 years ago. 100 years ago, okay? It was involved Jack Dempsey. Again. That's who was fighting. Fireman Jim Flynn right there. Fighting Fireman Jim Flynn. And there was a scandalous night in Murray back on Valentine's Day in 1917 when the city hosted a national heavyweight boxing fight that was settled in only 25 seconds. The ticket that night featured local heavyweight superstar with only one loss, Jack Dempsey. His opponent from New Jersey was a fighter with a mixed record of wins named Fireman Jim Flynn. Now, boxing craze, this is in Murray, Utah. Boxing craze Utah during the post-World War I years hosted numerous matches held in venues from the Grand Theater to, and most interestingly, Murray City's Fire Hall. Once the fire engines were hauled out, the fire hall was spacious enough to hold quite a crowd and profitable enough for promoters to book it as a sporting arena. Now, the fire hall's current owner, BMW of Murray, just finished refurbishing the century-old building, but stepping inside the building, one can still see the voluminous hall. Now, it wasn't unusual to see boxing's newest sensation, Jack Dempsey, on the streets of Murray. Originally from Manassas, Colorado, he had bought his mother, Celia, a home located where Three Fountains condominium complex currently sits. Celia and Jack were converts to Mormonism, which spurred the move to Murray. However, Jack was likely not actively practicing his new faith. He reportedly met his first wife, Maxine, in a Salt Lake City bordello. Okay? Yeah. Define irony one in the building. What's up, Define Arnie One? Boxing in the State Series continues today with Utah. And Ray Patterson, straight out of New Jersey. What's up, RP? How are you today? Yeah, boxing in the States, Utah. Got some other good stuff coming up too. We're going to talk about some left hooks if we have time. I really want to get to that because that's kind of interesting. I got the 10 biggest left hooks thrown in boxing history. The 10 biggest left hooks thrown in boxing history. We're going to cover that later. We'll make sure we have time. That's interesting. Yeah, Jack wasn't exactly practicing Mormonism because he met his wife Maxine in the Salt Lake City bordello. Okay? Now, in the rowdy days of Murray's saloon-infested State Street, local boxing matches were held with regularity. Now, as it is now, prize fighting was illegal in Utah, so fight promoters found loopholes to circumvent the law. Fights were billed as exhibitions, and law enforcement was lenient when the fight was also a fundraiser. Wow, prize fighting still illegal in Utah? I did not know that. Yeah, so they billed the fights as fundraisers to go around law enforcement. Now, Murray's first major fundraiser exhibition that attracted national attention pitted erstwhile local boy Jack Dempsey against the fighter Young Hector. On September 28, 1916, Dempsey drove from his mother's home down 4800 South to the State Street Fire Hall to face Hector in 3 rounds, right? Now, Dempsey had pummeled the challenger enough that his opponent retired from the match, and Dempsey moved one step closer to taking on heavyweight champion Jess Willett. Now, the fight was so popular that promoters were already planning the next exhibition, all for the benefit of the Murray City Fire Department, but had trouble finding an opponent for the Manassas Mauler. What better opponent the fight organizers thought to bring to the fire hall than boxer Fireman Jim Flynn, okay? Now, Flynn had twice fought and lost the heavyweight title to champions Tommy Burns and Jack Johnson. Now, the Murray match even attracted the nation's sports writers' attention. Utah was abuzz in February as the match drew near, with the Salt Lake Telegram even printing where the fighters were training and announcing that a special train would be scheduled to accommodate spectators from Utah County. Now, sports columnists were bemoaning Flynn as not much of a chance, right? Walter Bratz wrote, "Sounds like a classy card. As a matter of fact, it is nothing else." Dempsey's promoter was already trying to schedule a match against champion Jess Willett before the fight even took place with fireman Jim Flynn. Now, on the night of the fight, a sellout crowd filed into the Murray Fire Hall, and the two fighters made their way to the ring. The bell rang, and within 25 seconds, Jack Dempsey lay knocked out cold after 2 punches. The Ogden Standard-Examiner newspaper held, "The whole affair is the worst prize fight in the history of the state." Newspapers cried that it was fixed, but it was also noted that Dempsey was still out well after the count. Dempsey claimed that he was not warmed up yet. If he threw it, he paid dearly for it, since he waited until 1920 for a chance to fight Jess Willett for the title. Yeah, if he threw the fight, he paid for it because he had a championship fight coming up, remember? Then he had to wait a few years after he lost that fight there. Now, promoters quickly settled on a rematch a year later to the day, but it was in Chicago. Dempsey wasn't cold this time, and he knocked Flynn out in the first round. Now, the Murray fight would be the only knockout blemish on the heavyweight champion's career, on his way to becoming one of the highest paid athletes in the first part of the 20th century. Only time he was stopped in his career was that fight. 25 seconds. But why would he throw it when his next fight was going to be a title fight? Then he had to wait like 3 more years for his title shot. Yep. Okay, let's talk about some boxers from Utah. Okay? So Jack Dempsey not from Utah, but I got another piece on Jack Dempsey before we get started talking about the boxers from Utah. We're gonna get to that hook piece. Okay, what's going on in the chat? Nothing. Appreciate everybody stopping by today. Okay, I don't know why I'm the only one who can't see the light. I'm still on 6. The 6 I gave myself. Unless nobody hit the light. And again, I ain't saying another word till I get 35 likes. Just kidding. Okay, what was we getting ready to do? Another boxers from Utah, right? Boxers from Utah. We're gonna talk a little bit about Jack Dempsey again. He wasn't from Utah, but he had a big connection to the state. You know, fought there a lot. When he was homeless, he would make money in the bars, especially at Peter's Saloon. They would pass the hat around, and the winner of the fight would get what was in the hat. The loser wouldn't get anything, right? Winner take all. Winner take all. And Jack won most of the time. I forgot that little rhyme he had that I did when I was doing his profile, remember? He had a little rhyme about he would beat any SOB in the joint. I forgot how it went. So I'm not gonna mess it up. Okay. Get a little brief thing on Jack again. Okay. Ooh. That's small. We're gonna work our way through this. Let's see how long it is. Not that long. I'm gonna jump around, jump up, and get down. Oh, excuse me, I got carried away. Jack Dempsey loved fighting, mining, and cowboying. Okay. Now, during the 1920s, Americans celebrated their material prosperity and made national heroes out of sports figures. The greatest American sports hero was undoubtedly Babe Ruth. His closest rival was a tough heavyweight boxer from the mining West called Jack Dempsey. Now, Dempsey's family originally came from Logan County, West Virginia. I knew they were somewhere in the East, West Virginia. Now, Jack claimed that his family was related to the Hetfields of Hetfield-McCoy feud. Jack said they were related to the Hetfields. An LDS missionary converted his parents, Hiram and Celia Smoot Dempsey, and they moved west, arriving in the Mormon village of Manassas, Colorado, around 1880. Now, while Hiram fell away from the church, Celia remained faithful. Jack would later write, "I'm proud to be a Mormon and ashamed to be the Jack Mormon that I am." The future boxing great William Harrison Dempsey, named after the president, was born in Manassas on June 24, 1895. His family was from West Virginia, but he was actually born in Manassas. His father and older brothers were miners, and the family moved many times as they followed mining jobs around Colorado and Utah. Harry, as the youngster was known, began working on a farm near Steamboat Springs at the age of 8. Over the course of the next several years, he would work as a miner, cowboy, and other odd job man. The future heavyweight champ always claimed that he loved fighting, mining, and cowboying, and could have been happy doing any of the above for the rest of his life. Now, his older brother, Bernie, who often earned extra money as a prize fighter in the tough Rocky Mountain mining towns, taught Jack the rudiments of the sport. Bernie convinced Jack to chew rubbery pine for gum to strengthen his jaw and to soak his face in brine to toughen the skin and prevent cuts. From age 11, Jack was in training to be a prize fighter. The Dempsey family finally settled in Provo, Utah, when Jack was 12 years old, and he attended Lakeview Elementary School before dropping out of the 8th grade. He worked shining shoes, picking crops, and unloading beets at a sugar refinery for 10 cents. Then, From 1911 to 1916, he rode the rails, hung low railroad freight cars from town to town across Utah, Colorado, and Nevada, picking up fights where he could. Peter Jackson's Saloon on Commercial Street, which we just talked about in Salt Lake City, served as his home base. Hardy Downey, a local promoter, got Jack a number of fights. In his Salt Lake City debut, fighting on Kid Blackie, he knocked out One Punch Hancock with one punch. And remember, Downey was so displeased, he made Dempsey fight Hancock's brother before it would pay him, and he knocked out Hancock's brother in the same manner. Now, his brother Bernie was traveling a similar circuit in Colorado, billing himself as Jack Dempsey after a great middleweight of the late 19th century. That's where the Jack Dempsey got his name from. It was another Jack Dempsey before him. Okay? In 1914, Jack substituted for the ill Bernie in a fight, and for the first time became Jack Dempsey. His brother got sick, who was fighting against Jack Dempsey. So he stepped in, and that's when his first fight is Jack Dempsey. Now, Jack later estimated that he fought 100 fights in those years, winning most, losing some, and earning very little. He often survived on the free saloon lunch that came with the purchase of a nickel beer. Jack finally got a break when his manager got in some quality fights in San Francisco and in the East. On July 4th, 1919, Jack met the much larger champion Jess Willard in Toledo, Ohio. The Salt Lake City Telegram newspaper had a direct wire to Toledo, and the sports editor in Salt Lake City read the blow-by-blow results aloud to a crowd of 5,000 in Jack's adopted home. Dempsey knocked Willard out and went on to rule the heavyweight division until two famous losses to Gene Tunney forced his retirement. Dempsey remained an enormously popular figure for the rest of his long life, starring in movies, generally awful, and operating on a string of restaurants. He starred in movies that were usually awful movies, and he operated a string of restaurants. He often returned to Utah, where he bought his mother several homes. Jack Dempsey. Okay, let's talk about some other boxers from Utah now. Okay, boxers from Utah. Okay, anybody come in? No. Okay, boxers from Utah. Let's get into that. This Utah be playing games. The thing got 7 people in the phone got 7 people in the chat. The laptop got 3. Wow, that's crazy. But let's talk about some boxers from Utah now. Got like 12 of them. Then we're gonna talk about these hooks. That is very interesting. These hooks we're gonna talk about. Yeah, I think y'all gonna like that. Okay. But first, boxers from Utah. I did. I thought I had that set up, but apparently I didn't. Okay. First is going to be Gene Fullmer. Gene Fullmer. After Jack Dempsey, probably Utah's most famous boxer. Beat Sugar Ray Robinson. The Sugar Ray also beat him with what was called the perfect punch, remember? Okay, Gene Fullmer, starting it out, boxing from Utah. Now, Gene is from West Jordan, Utah, okay? He finished his career with a record of 55 wins, 6 losses, 3 draws, 24 knockouts. Now, he was a middleweight champion. Fought in the 1950s and 1960s, known as the Cyclone, the Mormon Mauler, and the Utah Cyclone. Fullmer turned professional in 1951 and won his first 29 fights, 19 by knockout. He was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1991. Gene Fullmer. Okay. Oh, sorry. There's Gene Foreman right there. Here's Gene. Okay. Next we have Britton Hart, female boxer. I guess there must be short for Brittany. We got Britton Hart. Britton is from Layton, Utah. Britton Hart from out of Layton, Utah. Finished her career 4 wins, 4 losses, 3 knockouts, 3 draws, 3 knockouts. Wow. 4 wins, 3 knockouts. That's 70 something, because that's not many fights at all. That's 75%. Hey, 4 wins, she got 3 of them out of there. They only had 7 fights. Now, Britton Hart is the inaugural and reigning BKFC women's strawweight champ. She's in bare knuckles boxing too. The first and only woman to hold a title. Okay, she's still active. A Bedford, Virginia resident now. She was born in Layton, Utah. Currently a Bedford, Virginia resident, Hart is a professional boxer and bare knuckles fighter who previously competed in the featherweight division. Hart has never been knocked out or knocked down. Her only bare knuckles losses have been to Beck Rawlings and Christine Ferreira. Hart's career started rough with more draws and losses than wins. Britton Hart. Okay. Next we have Don Foreman, Gene Foreman's little brother. Okay, that's Don Foreman on the left there. That's Gene's little brother, Don Foreman. He had a lot of fights in his career. He lost a lot of them, but he had a lot of fights. Don did. And Don is from West Jordan, like Gene. Don won 54, lost 20, had 5 draws, 14 knockouts. So he had 79 fights. Yeah, I didn't know too much about Don. Yeah. Now, yeah, brother of the former world middleweight champion, Gene Foreman. 8 years younger than Gene, his more famous brother. Don followed Gene into the gym in West Jordan, Utah to learn how to box. He fought as an amateur for 4 years and did not lose in 65 fights. Undefeated as an amateur. Wow. That takes some doing, because everybody loses as an amateur. Next, we have another famous Utah boxer, Danny Little Red Lopez. And I got 2 pictures of Gene Foreman. That's Gene and I forgot who was fighting there, but that's Gene Foreman there too. That's Little Red there. Danny Little Red Lopez on the left. Okay. Yeah, Danny Little Red was a famous, another one of Utah's famous sons. Okay, right up there with Gene Foreman. Really? Mm-hmm. Danny was from Fort Duquesne, Utah. 42 wins, 6 losses, 39 knockouts. Knockout rate of 92.8% for Little Red. He has some pop. Bruce Gas, Boxing, Jazz, and more in the building. Talking about Utah today, Bruce. Boxers with the part. Boxers from Utah. Bruce know about Danny Little Red. 92.8% knockout rate for Danny Little Red Lopez. Yeah. 42 wins, 39 of them by knockout. Okay. Only lost 6 fights in his career. 4 in the lower weight classes. Yeah. He was the WBC featherweight champion of the world from November 1976 to February 1980. 4-year reign. His nickname was Little Red. Known for his tremendous punching power. In 2003, the Ring magazine rated Lopez at number 26 on their list of 100 greatest punchers. From featherweight, Danny Little Red Lopez. Yeah, he had some pop. I want to tell you. Okay. Next is Rex Lehman. Rex Lehman. There's Rex delivering the punch. On the right, Rex Lehman. Okay. We don't have many of these. I got a good thing coming up for you about the hook. Rex Lehman. Okay, Rex is from where's Rex from? Lewiston, Utah. Now Rex won 50, lost 17, had 3 draws, 14 knockouts in his career. Okay. Now he was sometimes termed the Lewiston Larriper and later Poor Old Rex. Lane became a top contender in the early 1950s, although he never fought for the heavyweight title. Top contender, but never fought for the title. Bet y'all didn't know this guy was from Utah. I didn't until yesterday. Kermel Moton, from Salt Lake City, Utah. I did not know that. Wow. Kermel Moton makes the list of boxers from Utah. Kermel. Yep. From Salt Lake City. Still active. Kermel is currently 7 wins, no losses, 6 knockouts, 85.7% knockout rate, right? Now he is a Floyd Mayweather protege. The 5'7" boxer is an 18-time national champion and former top-ranked amateur. In September 2023, Moton made his pro debut with a first-round stoppage of Ezequiel Flores during the Canelo vs. Charlo pay-per-view event. Yep, that was his debut. Remember that? Now, Moton has honed his skills by sparring with elite boxers like Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis. Moton is known for his speed, power, and accuracy. Sound familiar? Sounds like a little Mike Tyson. Speed, power, and accuracy. Kermel Moton. Couple more. Next is Lamar Clark from Cedar City, Utah. Lamar Clark. Cedar City, Utah. Okay. Lamar Clark. There's Lamar. Okay, what's happening in the chat? Not too much. Okay. All right. Look, Lamar Clark from Cedar City, Utah. Lamar finished his career at 43 wins, just 3 losses. Get this, 42 knockouts, 97.6% knockout rate. Okay. 46 fights, only 4 men went the distance with him. 97.6 knockout rate. So it's safe to say Lamar had pop. Okay. Let's take a look at Lamar. Wow. Did he have pop? Let's say 97.6. Wow, that's up there. Now, he fought in the heavyweight division. He was active from 1958 to 1961 and fought a record 46 times in 3 years, right? That's like 15 times a year, mostly in his home state of Utah. The Guinness Book of World Records lists Clark as the boxer with the most consecutive knockouts, 42, and also the most knockouts in one night, 6. Most knockouts. Wait a minute. Did I read that right? Let me read that again. That's unbelievable. The Guinness Book of World Records lists Clark as the boxer with the most consecutive knockouts, 42, and the most knockouts in one night, 6. Damn, 6 knockouts in one night. Clark's knockout streak garnered him, I guess it did, nationwide press attention. Though some commentators have derided the poor quality opposition. I don't care who it was, 6 in one night is still impressive. Wow. I had to read that again. Yeah, that's what it said, 6 in one night. Lamar Clark. Okay. Jay Lambert is next. Jay Lambert from Lamont was from Cedar City. Jay Lambert is from Helper, Utah. Just like that, Helper, Utah. Jay Lambert. Okay? It's got a couple more. And Jay finished his career 8 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, 4 knockouts. Okay, let's check up on Jay real quick. He was an amateur and professional boxer, medical doctor, and general surgeon in Salt Lake City, Utah. He was the 1948 U.S. Olympic trials champion and represented the United States as a heavyweight in the 1948 Summer Olympics in London, England. He didn't do too much as a professional, right? Most of his known for as an amateur. That was Jay Lambert. Let's see, I got a little bit more on him. Yeah, Jay fought professionally from 1948 to 1950 before leaving the sport to pursue a career in medicine. But he didn't fight that much because he only had like 12 fights, right? He was studying to be a doctor at the same time, right? Okay. Next is Shane Heaps. See, there's Jay right there. Shane Heaps. Shane is from Orem, Utah. Okay. Just got 2 more after Shane. From Orem, Utah. Don't have too much on Shane. I think Shane basically fought as an amateur too. I believe, yeah. Let's see. Shane Heaps. Okay, there we go. Shane want to act up. From Orem, Utah. Yeah, Shane, former Olympian, he competed in the welterweight category at the 1996 Summer Olympics, representing Tonga. From Utah, but he represented Tonga in the Olympics. Okay, Ernie Lopez. Ernie Lopez. That's Ernie Lopez on the right, on the left hand. Yeah. Ernie Lopez. This is the next to the final one. Okay. Ernie is from Fort Duquesne, Utah. Ernie finished his career. He had 51 wins, 10 losses, 1 draw, 24 by the knockout route. Ernie Indian Red Lopez. He twice fought for the world welterweight title, losing title fights to Jose Napales in 1970 and 1973. Lost to Jose twice. Okay. Fought for the title twice, lost to Jose twice. He was a missing person from 1992 to 2004, 12 years, and was the subject of extensive press coverage in early 2004 when, after being selected for induction into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, California Boxing Hall of Fame, he was found at a homeless shelter in Fort Worth, Texas. Went missing. He didn't want to be found. He was in a homeless shelter. Wow. I guess that'd be a good place to hide out. I guess. I don't know. I ain't never been in one. But I don't know. Nobody might not think to look for you there. In a homeless shelter, missing 12 years. What if he was there for 12 years? Finally, Willard Bean, final boxer from Utah. Okay. For today. Okay. Let's get Willard Bean up here. And then we're going to talk about some hooks. I got the 10 best hooks ever thrown in boxing history of all time, ever. Willard Bean is from Provo, Utah. 1 8 lost, 7 3 draws, 2 no contests, 5 knockouts. Okay. 62.5. I don't know. We want to check that. But Willard Bean, he was a middleweight boxer and a missionary of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In 1905, Bean claimed the title of middleweight champion of the world. Yep, he was a world champion. Okay, so now let's talk about these hooks I've been talking about. Okay, it's one of the greatest hooks ever, right there. We're gonna talk about. I got 10 of the greatest hooks ever thrown in history. Man, okay, bear with me for a minute. Memento. And there's, don't you hate when that happens? I had it in there, but it disappeared. I gotta put it in again. Which boxer had the most? Left hook. Yeah, we're talking about left. We're gonna be talking about left hooks. Okay. Okay. What's going on in it? The Project Mystery. What's going on in Project Mystery? Good to see you today. Yeah, we was talking the boxing in the States. We went through the entire every state in the United States alphabetical order, and we did Utah today. Now we're going to talk about the Project Mystery. We're going to talk about some hooks, some devastating left hooks. First, we're going to start out with 10 of the greatest left hooks ever thrown. 10 of the greatest ones ever thrown. Okay. That's one of them right there on the screen there. That one Joe Frazier hit Muhammad Ali with. Muhammad got up though, to his credit, but but Joe had to fight one, and that really sealed the deal for him when he got that one, on him. Joe said later he didn't expect Ali to get up from that, but he got up. Ali had an iron chin. Okay. This is 10 of the greatest left hooks ever thrown. Okay. Number 1. Sugar Ray Robinson knocked out the iron chin Gene Foreman with a devastating left hook that has been called the perfect punch on May 5th, 1957. Foreman said he didn't remember being hit until he woke up and thought Sugar Ray was exercising between rounds. He didn't realize Ray was celebrating a knockout victory. Yeah, when Foreman woke up, he looked over there and saw Sugar Ray in the far corner. He thought Sugar Ray was just getting ready to come out for the next round. He didn't know that if he had been knocked out, the fight was over. That he was just waking up from his nap, right? Mm-hmm. Number 2, Smoking Joe Frazier floored Muhammad Ali with a leaping left hook in the 15th round of the fight of the century on March 8th, 1971. To his credit, the iron chin Ali got up, but the knockdown clinched Frazier's victory over the self-alleged greatest. Yeah, I think Frazier had it anyway, but yeah, that left hook just made sure of it, made certain of it. Number 3, Jerry Cooney threw a devastating left hook that broke Ron Lyle's ribs and resulted in a first-round stoppage in their fight on October 24th, 1980. The force of the blow knocked Lyle through the ropes and into the ring apron. In his next fight, Cooney would also knock out Ken Norton in the first round. These are 10 of the greatest left hooks ever thrown right here. Okay, Al Booker said, God dang, that's a hell of a knockout. He thought Sugar Ray was warming up. Yeah, when he woke up, Al Booker. He was out. I don't know how long they say he was out. But when he woke up, he looked, the referee had sent Sugar Ray to the neutral corner. And then Sugar Ray, Foreman was counted out. And when he woke up, he looked across the ring and saw Sugar Ray over there in the corner. He thought he was in this corner. Sugar Ray it was in between rounds still. He didn't know he had been knocked out and waking up from his nap. The fight was over. Yeah, that was a serious knockout. Number 4, Tommy Morrison TKO'd Donovan Ruddock with a thunderous left hook on June 10th, 1995. Number 5, Floyd Patterson knocked out Ingemar Johansson with a left hook in the 5th round of their second fight on June 20th, 1960. Number 6, Jersey Joe Walcott knocked out Ezra Charles with a short uppercut / left hook on July 18th, 1951. Number 7, Joe Frazier again. Joe Frazier knocked out another left hook artist, Bob Foster. Yeah, Foster had a mean left hook too. Frazier knocked Foster out in the second round of their fight on November 18th, 1970. Number 8, Bob Foster knocked out Dick Tiger with a concussive left hook on May 24th, 1968. It was the only time the great Dick Tiger was knocked out in 82 professional fights. Only time Dick Tiger was ever knocked out in his career was that left hook from Bob Foster. Number 9, Mike McCallum, aka the Body Snatcher, knocked out Donald Curry with a wilting left hook on July 18th, 1967. And finally, number 10, who else? Mike Tyson, just 19 years old, TKO'd Reggie Gross in the first round of their fight on June 13th, 1986. The year before he became the youngest heavyweight champion ever at 20. Okay, now let's talk about some more left hooks. Let's talk about some more left hooks. Some more left hook stuff. Okay. Some more left. This is interesting. I'm gonna leave Joe Frazier up there with Muhammad Ali. That one there was tremendous. Not tremendous, tremendous. But we not find it. Let's see. Not that one. It's this one. No. Yeah, this is it. I hope. This ain't it. Okay, bear with me. Just looked at it before I started. It's gotta be it. Just looked at it before I started. Nope. We're gonna find it. Okay, let me see. Bear with me. I've been here all this time. I might supposed to stick around for 30 more minutes. One of these, I can't figure out which one I was at this morning. This is crazy. Murphy's Law. Now that's the end of that. It ain't that one. I'm getting ready to give up in a minute. But how is everybody today? We got a card tomorrow, remember? We have a card. Got it. Okay, I was getting ready to give up. I got it. Yeah, we got a card tomorrow. I forgot where it was from. Booker had said where it was from yesterday, but I forgot. But which boxer had the most devastating left hook is the question. Glad y'all asked. Now, consensus generally among fighters, trainers, and boxing experts is that Joe Frazier had the best left hook of all time. But there are 7 other heavyweight left hooks that warrant a shout out. Jack Dempsey, Joe Louis, Sonny Liston, Jerry Cooney, Mike Tyson, and David Tua. Whatever 6. Now, if we talk about left hooks in all weight classes, we will be here all night talking about fighters ranging from Pepino Cuevas and Sugar Ray Robinson, in addition to Joe Frazier and the Magnificent 7. So let us talk about the big men, heavyweights with the big left hooks. That was 6. Jack Dempsey, Joe Louis, Sonny Liston, Jerry Cooney, Mike Tyson, David Tua, and Joe Frazier. Counting Joe Frazier. So we're going to talk about the heavyweights. Now, Ali said in his autobiography, The Greatest, My Own Story, Ali said, Joe Frazier had the best left hook in boxing. Ali said, if anybody got a better left hook than Joe Louis, I do not want to get hit by it. Right? Eddie Futch, the legendary trainer, said, Joe Frazier had the best left hook ever. Doug Fisher, the editor of Ring Magazine and a noted boxing writer and historian, compiled a list of great left hookers in all weight classes. But while Joe Frazier was number 1, there are other heavyweights on that list to discuss, like Jerry Cooney, Tommy Morrison, David Tua, and Joe Frazier are the 4 heavyweights most identified with a single punch, the left hook. Frazier, king of the left hook. Let's discuss in more. We will discuss them in more detail. But first, the other 3 great heavyweight left hookers, starting with Tommy Morrison. Okay. You find Arnie says it's on Mike Tyson. Okay, yeah, he had a good one. That is a good observation. Now, Tommy Morrison. Where was it? Starting with Tommy Morrison. Now, Ring Magazine rated Tommy Morrison the 3rd best left hooker in history, with Frazier at number 1. Bleacher Report rated Morrison's stoppage of Razor Ruddock as the 6th best left hook stoppage in boxing history. The 8th best left hook in history, David Tua, again with number 1. 30 of Tua's 43 stoppages occurred in the first 3 rounds, almost all of them by his feared left hook. Tua himself said in an interview with Sky Sports, when I throw that left hook, and when that left hook finds home, I sense fear. I taste blood, and I taste victory. Okay? Perhaps Tua's best hooks ever were thrown knocking out John Ruiz 19 seconds into the first round. It is notable that Tua kept his power into the later rounds, right? Still had power late in fights. A pair of hooks in the 11th round stopped Oleg Maskayev in April 1997. And a single powerhouse left hook stopped David Isom in the 12th and final round in December 1996. Yep, so Tua kept his power late. Ring Magazine has David Tua as the number 8 best left hooker of all time. The 10th greatest left hook in history, Jerry Cooney. I think I would have Cooney. Cooney maybe should be a little higher. I don't know. But 10th, he's definitely top 10. Now, Cooney was a natural left-hander, but fought in a right-handed stance to bring his massive left a few inches closer to the target. Now, Cooney began to attract real attention in the boxing world in November 1979 when he met John Dino Dennis at Madison Square Garden. One of Cooney's left hooks to the jaw put Dennis down. And though he managed to stagger up, referee Tony Perez stopped the fight because Dennis was obviously helpless. Only George Foreman had knocked out Dennis before, so Cooney's stoppage attracted considerable attention. Shortly after that, Cooney literally broke Ron Lyle's ribs with a left hook and stopped him in the first round. The Associated Press reported in awe. Jerry Cooney's left hook knocked Ron Lyle through the ropes and onto the ring apron, where he was counted out at 2:49 of the first round, and remember, broke his ribs, okay? Now, 6 months after fighting Lyle, Cooney stopped Ken Norton in 54 seconds of the first round with a left hook, breaking Lee Savo's 33-year-old record for the quickest knockout in the Madison Square Garden main event. And it represented the high point of Cooney's career, those two first-round knockouts. Ring Magazine named Cooney the number 10 best left hooker of all time and fourth among heavyweights. Okay? Number 10 all time, fourth among heavyweights. Jerry Cooney. Now, the multi-closers: Joe Louis, Mike Tyson, Jack Dempsey, and Sonny Liston. Now, these men used their right hand as well as their left. Dempsey, Lewis, and Liston loved the straight right we talked about yesterday, with Tyson specializing in a truly vicious right uppercut. Liston also used an uppercut to seal the deal on occasion. And you know how they say the jab is not a power counted as a power punch. For Sonny Liston, they should have counted the jab as a power punch. Sonny. All right. Andrin Jabs from India. All right. Good to see you. Got somebody in CAS Sports all the way from India. Welcome. Andrin, is it Jabaz? Andrin Jabaz. Salute. And welcome to CAS Sports, the Boxdorian. Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., bringing you all that boxing history. Salute, Andrin. Yeah, we just talking about some of the best left hookers in history right now. But appreciate you stopping by. Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Okay? Yeah, we were talking about the left hook. But yeah, Joe Louis, Mike Tyson, Jack Dempsey, Sonny Liston used the right hand a lot too. They had power in both hands, but all of them did use a truly elite left hook as well. Jack Dempsey, the old mauler, had a left hook described by Jack Blackburn as a dab battering ram. Joe Louis also had a great left hook. Floyd Patterson called Joe Louis's left hook the sweetest left hook I have ever seen, and the deadliest right cross. So did Sonny Liston, of whom Patterson said, Sonny can turn the lights up with that hook. Dave Jacko said of Mike Tyson, he hits you with that left hook, followed by a right uppercut, and it's good night. Yeah, it's good night. That's what Define Arnie was talking about, that Tyson power. Yeah, and that's what it is, good night. If Tyson gets you with that right uppercut, left hook and then that right uppercut, it's good night. But the thing is, for Louis, Liston, Tyson, Dempsey, their hooks were not their sole primary weapon. They were one weapon among many, but all of them had great right-handed power and an assortment of crosses, uppercuts, overhands, and straight right to go with their hooks. Now, Patterson said in the 1970s that Joe Frazier's and Sonny Liston's left hook had more power than Joe Louis's. Joe Frazier's, he said, was also delivered far more often. Sonny had the most power in his hook Patterson had ever seen, but he said, it is choose your poison with all of them. The general consensus is that Joe Frazier was the best left hook, okay? Now, among the big men, only Frazier, Stewart, Cooney and Morrison made their left hook their bread and butter. Okay? Bleacher Report ranks Joe Frazier's hook against Ali, dropping him late in the fight in the 15th round. Bleacher Report called that the best hook ever thrown. The best hook ever thrown. Okay? One reason Joe Frazier's left hook is rated the best is the fact he threw it more often and from odd angles. Lewis, Dempsey, Liston, Tyson all limited their hooking. Joe threw it like he was throwing food to starving men. He knew his hook was his money shot, and he threw it at every opportunity. Talking about Frazier. As Joey Corey Riley noted after fighting Joe Frazier the first time, Joe throws that hook early and often. Early and often. Now, though the most famous hook Joe ever threw was the punch that knocked Muhammad Ali down in their first meeting, perhaps the sweetest was the one that ended his title unifying fight over Jimmy Ellis in 1970 and made Joe the undisputed heavyweight champion. After a left hook to the chin left Ellis helpless and laying on the canvas just before the bell rang at the end of round 4. The round ended before Ellis could be counted out, but Ellis's trainer, Angelo Dundee, decided Ellis could not safely recover, and he stopped the fight. The Sports Illustrated reported the fight with the title, Hooked and Smoked Out. Jimmy Ellis, noting Frazier's ability to vary delivery on his money punch, said later, Frazier throws that hook from places it shouldn't be thrown from. Boxing writer and historian Kevin Iole explains why Frazier's hook was so lethal. Frazier got exceptional torque in his hook and followed through. So the punch didn't just drop upon him, it drove him to the canvas. Yeah, see that follow through? That's what he's talking about. Look at that exactly on the screen. See that? That follow through he got on it? Yeah, that's a very true statement. So how did Joe Frazier develop his hook? Now, Joe Frazier grew up the child of sharecroppers in the South, working on a farm, and worked himself in the slaughterhouse as an adult. His harsh life left him both strong and tough as old shoe leather, and explains much of who he was as a fighter and as a man. Joe Frazier was the 12th child born to Reuben Frazier and Dolly Austin Frazier in Beaufort, South Carolina. Called Billy Boy as a child, he was raised in a rural farming community of Beaufort, South Carolina, the local residents named Laurel Bay. Now, Joe Frazier recalled in his autobiography, he was extremely close to his father while growing up. Despite the poverty, I was a happy child. Reuben carried his youngest son when he was a toddler over the small plot of land the Fraziers worked as sharecroppers. The land simply would not support the family, so Reuben made corn liquor in an illegal still to buy the necessities that a large family required. Joe remembered the smell of the still for the rest of his life. Now, the year Joe was born, his father, Reuben Frazier, had his left hand burned and part of his forearm amputated in a tractor accident. Frazier's parents worked their farm with 2 mules who were named Buck and Jenny. According to Frazier's autobiography, the 10 acres the family sharecrop was what country folk called white dirt. Sorry, no count land. They could not grow peas or corn on it, only cotton and watermelon. In the early 1950s, Frazier's father bought a black and white television. The family and friends came to watch boxing matches on it. Frazier's mother sold drinks for a quarter as they watched boxers like Sugar Ray Robinson, Rocky Marciano, Willie Pep, and Rocky Graciano. Frazier recounted how his uncle Israel noticed his stocky build and commented, "That boy there, that boy is going to be another Joe Louis." The words made an impression on Joe. He acquired a reputation in school as a quiet but very tough kid whose classmates sought out for protection. Frazier said in his autobiography, Smoking Joe, "Any scam booger who got in my face or picked on smaller kids would soon regret it." The day after his uncle's comparing him to Joe Louis, Frazier filled an old burlap sack with rags, corn cobs, a brick, and Spanish moss. That makeshift heavy bag hung from an oak tree in the backyard of the family's home until Joe left at 14. Richard Harford recounted that Frazier told him, "For the next 6 or 7 years, damn near every day, I'd hit that heavy bag for an hour at a time. I'd wrap my hands with a necktie of my daddy's, or a stocking of my mama's or sister's, and get to it." Not long after Frazier started working on the farm, his left arm was badly injured while he was fleeing the family's 300-pound hog. One day, Frazier poked the hog with a stick and ran away. The gate to the pig pen was open, however, and the irate hog chased him. Frazier fell and hit his left arm on a brick. His arm was torn badly, but as the family could not afford a doctor, the arm had to heal on its own. Joe was never able to keep it fully straight again. After a half century, Frazier remained number one the most expert. It is one of the great ironies of history that the man ring rated as the best left hooker ever did it with an arm. The man ring rated as the best left hooker ever did it with an arm which was disabled. Joe had used the old makeshift heavy bag to fire endless hooks with his left arm in order to strengthen it after his injury. Ironically, a hog chasing Joe and a homemade heavy bag are the reasons Joe developed the most lethal left hook in heavyweight history. From a hog chasing him and a makeshift heavy bag. Wow. And he did it with a disabled left arm that he never was able to fully straighten out. Smoking Joe Frazier. Wow, what a story. Okay, yeah. Tomorrow is the life and career of Erik Morales. And I got a good one Monday. Monday is going to be the first world champion in every weight class, from heavyweight all the way down to strawweight, 105. The first ever world champion in every weight class. Now remember at heavyweight, John Sullivan was the last glove champion, and then John Sullivan, no, backwards. John Sullivan was the last bare knuckles champion, and he was the first glove champion. Yep. And back right around that time, they didn't really have weight classes. You could weigh 150, you could weigh 110. It was that everybody, it was really pound for pound then. That's why they made weight classes, so the price could be more even, more fair, and cut down on the injury. You know, you got a 110-pound man and there was somebody 200, somebody getting hurt. So they came up with the weight classes to make it more fair, cut down on the injuries. And Monday, we're going to have the first world champion in every weight class. We're going to do a little history of weight classes and then a little history on each weight class. And then we're going to talk about the first world champion in every weight class Monday. That should be good. That's coming up Monday. But we still got tomorrow Erik Morales, one of the four kings of the 2000s, remember? Erik Morales, Juan Manuel Marquez, Manny Pacquiao, Marco Antonio Barrera. Had 13 fights between the four. Only combination of those four that didn't happen was Marquez and Morales. Right, Define on it? Yeah, I made a mistake and said Barrera the other day, but it was Morales, because we had just covered that. I think it was Monday when we did the fights that didn't happen. Yeah. Marquez and Morales, the only matchup that didn't happen. They fought more than the original four kings. I think they had 9 fights. But these Morales, and they had a few trilogies and all that in there. The original four kings only actually had 1 trilogy. That was Sugar Ray and Duran, only trilogy of the entire series. And that they shouldn't have had that. That third fight was totally unnecessary. They were both, I think, they were what, light heavyweight by the third fight? Yeah. old. Both were approaching retirement. So yeah, that was really a waste of time. And that was the only. And Hagler never had a rematch with any of the 4 kings. Never had a rematch. He's the only one that never fought a rematch in the series. Fought all of them just one time. He wanted a rematch with Sugar Ray, but Sugar Ray ducked the rematch. He said Sugar Ray retired, and Hagler waited like 14, 15 months before he retired. And then when Hagler retired, 1 month later, Sugar Ray came back. That's the duck. Yeah, Sugar Ray ducked the rematch. And yeah, Sugar Ray fought the most. I think he was in 6 of them. He fought Duran 3 times, he fought Hearns twice, and he fought Hagler once. He was in 6 of them. He had Hagler Duran. He won 4, lost 1. Wait a minute. He beat Duran twice, Hagler Hearns, that's 4. He lost to Duran, 1, and 1 draw. 4 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. Now, he should have had 2 wins because Hearns beat him the second time. Hearns actually outboxed him twice, but he got caught in the 14th round of the first fight, and then Sugar Ray admitted that Hearns won the second fight. He dropped him twice. He won just on the strength of the 2 knockdowns. Should have gave him the necessary points to win it, but they called it a draw. And yeah, Hagler fought everybody once. Hagler was 2-1. Beat Duran and Hearns, lost to Sugar Ray. Should have been 3-0. I thought he beat Sugar Ray too. I think Duran had the worst record. Duran only won 1 4 Kings fight. That was against Leonard. He was 1-4. Lost to Leonard twice, Hearns and Hagler. And then of course Hearns was 2-1-1. Hearns beat Duran and no, Hearns only won 1. Lost to Leonard. Hearns was 1-2-1. Beat Duran, lost to Leonard, and Hagler had 1 draw. Yeah, that's how that went. The 4 Kings. But okay, I believe Just Do Boxing is coming on at 4 o'clock. What am I talking about? 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. Yeah, it's about time to go. Tomorrow, the life and career of Erik Morales. Don't forget that good one Monday, though. The first champion in every weight class. Yep. I'll just know 2 right now. John Sullivan was the first one at heavyweight. And Marvin Campbell was the first one at cruiserweight. They just started that I think it was 78, 79. Yeah, Marvin Campbell was the first world champion at cruiserweight. Yeah. For the IBF, I think, and the WBC, because he won the WBC, and then I think he lost it, and then he won the IBF. And kept happening. Marvin Campbell, cruiserweight. So that's coming up Monday. Then we got 2 weeks on that great card, Ryan Garcia and Rolly. I got Ryan in that one. But yeah, that's gonna be about. Appreciate everybody stopping by today. We had a citizen of India in here, Andren Jabaz. I hope I'm saying that right. Jabes, all the way from India, in the building today. Hope to see you again, Andren. So, Andren, I should have another subscriber after today, right? I'm trying to get. I need 106 to get to 1,000. I only got to 890s and just stopped. When I was making shorts a lot, I was really racking up subscribers. Shorts get you subscribers, but I stopped making shorts. I would have had 1,000 by now, but I'll get it. But appreciate everybody. Appreciate Andren Jabaz from the great country of India in the building today. Hope to see him again. Andren Jabaz, the Project Mystery. I should have 2 new subscriptions today. Bruce Gas, Boxing, Jazz, and more. Ray Patterson, straight out of New Jersey. Ifan Arnie one, straight out of Puerto Rico. Donnie Williams, Al Booger, Mike Rim, Thomas Hill, the Boxing Menu Podcast Plus, and Mike Masick, and Miss Cass. Okay, we're gonna do it again tomorrow at 2, as usual. Because if it's Monday through Friday at 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian, bringing you all that boxing history. Appreciate y'all. Everybody have a great afternoon. I'll let y'all again tomorrow. I'm out.